Okay, so this is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time now. I think I had the idea to do this about 6 months ago, and it's taken me this long to even get myself to sit down and even give this a shot. I hope I can just get this all out there in this one go and that I don't have to go through this again. But basically, I just wanted to talk about my mental health and what my struggles and my situation has been for the last few years. So I am basically now dealing with depression and some levels of anxiety, and things have been really bad for the last month or so. When I say bad, I mean things have been like really bad for the last month or two, but it's been building. I knew, like right from the beginning of lockdown and before that, that things weren't okay, and it's something I sort of didn't obviously give enough attention to, and yeah, and that's why I'm in the situation that I'm in now, and I want to try my best to um talk about it in as much detail as I can. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but I'm going to try to be as specific as possible for the most part. So to start, I think one of the important things that I know and that I've recognized more and more in the last few weeks and since I've started dealing with all of this is that there've been a whole bunch of really emotional and difficult situations that I've been in over the last 5 to 7 years that weren't exactly related to me because they had to do with other people and I was involved or helping people, and I didn't realize that the amount of like the knock on effect that it had on my mental health and like my state of mind. And at those periods, and I was much younger for some of them, I didn't really have any checks and bounds in place to like sort of deal with whatever I was going through. And so those things have also sort of like built up and added to yeah, my current situation and the of how bad it's been. um I think I knew that it was a problem. I've known that it's been a problem for a while, and it's something that I haven't addressed because things like I've there've been like, and this is before the last 2 or 3 months or like maybe this year since it's been really bad, but there were multiple weeks and days where I haven't been able to get out of bed, and I've just woken up and all I've wanted to do is just like wait it out and go back to sleep. Just find ways to keep myself distracted till I go back to sleep. And something that I've not been very good with is keeping in touch with people, and people have known that in general. So when I went off the grid and stuff, it wasn't unusual for people. And something I realized a long time ago is that I'm quite self sufficient in terms of keeping myself occupied. So I can really keep myself occupied. I multitask a lot. And so maybe a few years ago, I realized that I didn't want to be going out as much as I was, and I was happier sometimes staying at home and not going out and keeping myself occupied doing other things. But when, but progressively, as things became worse for me, that is something that increased a lot. I stopped going out, I stopped responding to messages. Um, there have been times when, say, friends have messaged and invited me for their birthdays, and I've replied saying that, I'm not well or I'm out of town or something when that was a complete lie. And it's not even like I had anything better to do. I was just like in bed, pretty much doing nothing. And the strangest part, the part that makes no sense, is that, you know, it's not like I didn't enjoy meeting my friends. Every single time I went out and met them, it was awesome. I had a lot of fun. I was not in a situation where it was like, oh my god, I don't want to meet these people and I'm just keeping up appearances. I knew, like somewhere at the back of my mind, I knew that going would be better than not going, but I couldn't get myself to do it. And that's something that continued for a long time. For example, I was in Bangalore this year in Feb and in March, and somewhere in between, I met a bunch of my friends. And yeah, so I told them, yeah, I'm going back to Bangalore and all. Yeah, I don't know when I'm coming back and stuff. And I came back, I think, by the end of March, if I'm not mistaken. And I just didn't tell anyone. And I think most of them just thought I was still there. And, you know, some of them had messaged now and then about stuff, and I just never bothered replying at all. And, those were the kinds of things I was doing. And I wasn't doing it at all because I didn't like these people or, you know, um, I didn't want to hang out with these people. There was something that was just stopping me from doing this. And then it just became easy to, like, keep ignoring. And I think over the years they also realized that, like, yeah, Vinay comes, he'll get in touch when he wants to chill, and for a while I'll meet them, and then I'll go off the grid again and stuff. So it didn't even seem that out of whack. But even this time, it was so this thing that, like, a few of them reached out and said, hey, like, haven't heard from you in a while. What's up? Is everything okay? And stuff. And I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I've been off the grid. I'm not really ready to talk about it. And I will eventually and stuff. And yeah, I have, like, people have checked in and stuff, and I haven't been able to really talk about what I'm going through because, like, it is difficult at the end of the day to sort of face it and, really talk about it. There are a few people who know who've really helped me through it, but apart from that, yeah, it's something that I've really kept to myself for a while. One of the reasons I know I let it build also so much was because I was in situations or around people who had it much worse than me. So for me, it was always like, my struggles aren't that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. This one has it much worse. That one has it much worse. And I just didn't pay attention to, you know, what was going on with myself. And um yeah, so that was obviously a big problem. To talk about how now I've realized how much it's affected me and the amount of things in my life it's affected, I want to talk about a couple of things. Um, the first one being music. So, for anyone who knows me, knows that, like, a few years ago, music was like, you could say, like, everything for me. And um, like, I wanted to make music, I wanted to play gigs, and that was what I wanted to do. And that was what I started doing. And I made music, I sent it out to people. I got a decent response. I got called by, like, an agency or whatever. I started playing gigs and all. Everything seemed like really good on that part. And um, when I look at that, what happened was basically towards the end of the time when I was playing gigs and all, I wasn't enjoying it that much. And I was just like, I'm playing the same music. I want to make new music. So then when the gig stopped, I was like, okay, I'm going to make new music and then, like, start gigging again with this new music. And making music at that point was a struggle, but I was able to put some music together. And I clearly remember this moment where I was just like, what am I doing? I've got this music together that I want to now take out and play gigs with. But this music doesn't excite me. I don't love this music. Why am I taking, like, what am I doing? How has this become about the gigs and not about the music? And things sort of kept going downhill from there. There was a lot of, at that time, what I thought were creative blocks. And the reality of the situation actually became the complete opposite, where, artists have these creative blocks where you have a period where, you're struggling creatively and all. And for me, it became the opposite, where I'd have creative sparks where there were just like, I'd have like 2 3 days where I felt like super inspired and I'd be making stuff and all. And then 3 days later, it was back to nothing, like unable to make music, or if I tried, it would be just like no ideas, nothing at all. And for people who follow me on Instagram and stuff, you may have seen randomly once in a way I post like stories of my Logic session and some new track or something. But those were literally in those 3 days of inspiration, where in those 3 days suddenly I felt like, yeah, I'm back and I'm working on this track and I'm loving it, and now I'm gonna work on the album and all those things. And like, max 5 days later, it'd be back to nothing. And I've seen what it's done to my relationship with music. It pretty much reached a point where I was not listening to music at all, and it became something that I wasn't doing. I don't, even now, it's like in the last few weeks, I've been making like a conscious effort to listen to music, to like when I go for a run, put on an album, do things like that, because it was something I pretty much cut out of my life. If I met friends and stuff, of course, I'd play music and be around music and enjoy music and stuff, but it was, not something that was part of my day to day at all. The only part of music that was still part of my life at that point was worship music, because I was still playing in church and stuff. But apart from that, there was nothing. And it's crazy, when you think about where I was 5 years ago or whatever, where I was saying, like, this is what I want to do in my life, this is what I'm passionate about, this is all I want, to come to a place where I'm not even listening to music. And when it comes to making music, there's like a literal fear. It's like I was telling my um I was telling my counselor, it's like I'm scared to even try, because like I've tried so many times now and it's not worked out. And it's a scary feeling to listen to music that you've made and just be like, oh shit, how did I do that? Or like, you know, an inability to even figure out how you made something. Where for most artists, you listen to your old music and you're just like, oh, that's so crap. I'm so much better now. Mine is the complete opposite. I listen to my music and I'm just like, how did I do that? I don't think I'll be able to do anything like that now. So that's what it was like with music. But my relationship with a lot of things that I'm interested in changed so drastically. I loved watching TV shows, I loved gaming, and I love gaming to another level. It's not like I just like playing games. I'd follow like the gaming community and watch like the pro tournaments and all that, and I still do it. But it's so different, because it's become like, instead of this thing I really enjoy that excites me, it's become something that's just a distraction. And to give you context on, like how much it's changed, the last two games I bought were, I bought Spider-Man on my PlayStation in December, and I bought FIFA, I think a month and a half or 2 months ago. Yeah. The only reason I bought those games was because in December, in that period, and 2 months ago, in that period, I was going through such a bad low that I was just like, if I get a game right now, I may be able to spend 5 6 hours a day playing this game, and that'll be another distraction. There was not one part of me that was buying the game because it was like, oh my god, I really want to play this game, I love this game, I can't wait to do this. And um a lot of things like that changed for me. TV shows, I love TV shows, I love watching TV shows and stuff, but it's become something that I'm just doing to distract myself, so that I'm not just left with my thoughts, and because I'm somebody who has to multitask all the time. And yeah, that's what happened. Things that excited me, things that interested me just became mundane, and just they're all just there. Something that really struck me was, I think this was like quite a while ago. I was chatting with my girlfriend Meryl, and she just asked me like, "Are you happy in general?" And it was on WhatsApp, and I was just like, "Yeah," but somewhere it stayed with me, and I kept thinking about it, and I was like, am I actually happy? Because I'm really not. You know, I can't think. It's really deep. I have to really go back in time to think of a period of time where I was happy in general. Of course, there have been happy moments here and there, but it's not like my state of mind is happiness and I'm more happy than I am sad, or more happy than I am this thing. There are just a few moments of happiness, and of course, that's problematic. That isn't good, and I know that. And, um, and yeah, like I said, I had been in emotionally heightened and difficult situations, and something that I was able to do was get people to seek counsel and get help and meet a counselor. But when it came to myself, I just wasn't able to do it. And I don't even know why. Somebody asked me the other day, why don't you think you did it for yourself? And I have no idea, why I just couldn't get myself to do it. And even though, like, the people around me said, have you considered counseling? I think you should go for counseling. I'd be like, yeah, yeah, I will, I will, I will. I remember the beginning of the lockdown, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do counseling on Zoom. When it's in person again, I'll do it and all. But I never did. And it reached the point where I think, like, a month and a half ago, my mom just said, listen, and she doesn't push me on a lot of things. She's just like, I'm taking an appointment. You're in a really bad place. Because, like, 6 weeks ago or whatever, when this happened, I was in such a bad place where forget just like, sleeping and waking up and not wanting to do anything. I was just like crying randomly. I have no clue why I was crying, what was bothering me, nothing. And yeah, I was just like a wreck. And so then I started counseling, and it was really good to start. I mean, it is really good because I go every week. I've got the most amazing counselor. Like, he's just been so good with me. And another not scary thing or whatever was that, like, um yeah, so I was basically put on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication almost immediately. And initially it was like, oh, okay, because um I took the pills the first few times and it really helped, because that's what it does. It does really help. And my counselor also explained to me, he's like, I'm giving this to you because it's like when you think about it, your mind is like clouded and we just want you to open up a little bit. And he keeps asking me about my mood and stuff. And because even he gauged from my answers that my mood was like low and down, he was like, we want to give you some uppers to just like, we want you to feel that excitement and things like that. And so initially it was like, yeah, it's good and stuff, but um my situation wasn't exactly getting better and my medication kept increasing. So I remember, like, 10 days ago when I met him last, I was just like, I finished my session and my mom was like, how is it? And I started crying and I was just like, my medications are just increasing every week, because one of them had pretty much quadrupled the dosage since the first day, and this pill had been added and that pill had been added. But the reality is that I need it, you know. I can't like kid myself any longer to just believe that, yeah, everything's gonna be fine and I can take care of myself and stuff. And um yeah, it's been difficult, and I know I want to go back to one more thing, which is my interaction with people, which is something that, like, I really just cut off so many people. And I know I have, and I'm sorry that I have. And the problem is, even though I'm acknowledging it right now, this is still not me saying that if you reach out now that I will respond, because I still know that, like, it is still difficult. Um, I have to take things day by day. Some days are easier, some days are harder. And the reality is, there may be a day where I message you and I'm feeling all upbeat, and then you reply the next day and I'm in a completely different state of mind and I don't respond for weeks, and that's the problem. And I know it's like, it's irrational, it doesn't make sense, but that's the reality. I met a couple of friends a couple of days ago, and it was really good, to meet them and talk to them and tell them my situation. But it was not like counseling, because we were just chilling and having a few beers and stuff. And but even in that, I just like, I know one of them was saying it to help, and he was like, I'll call you and I'll make sure you come out and all. I was like, I won't, I won't answer your call. That's the reality. I know you're saying it to help me, and I know that both of us know that it would be better for me. But that's what, it's just like, I can't always get myself to do it. I think the one thing that's really helped me through this whole time has been running. I started like running again, and it's just been like, because everything's so numb, running was just like, apart from like, wanting to get fit and lose weight, it started bringing about these definitive emotions, that feeling of exhaustion, that feeling of being tired, that feeling of pushing yourself, which are just distinct feelings. And it helped to have those feelings like daily and stuff. So there's like some days I run twice a day and stuff. And, so some things have been really good. I don't want this to just be like me whining about, oh, my situation is so bad and all that. There have been good things. The running has been good. My counselor has been amazing. There's no way I would have got. There's like no way I would have gotten to this point, without the help of my mom, my family, my girlfriend Meryl, my friends Rinal, Kripan, and Pavani. You know, so there are good things. I have had people around me to like sort of keep me as stable as possible, be there for me when I've wanted them. And yeah, for me, there's been so much fear attached to all of this, and judgment, and like, what will people think, and that was attached to my music. And I really wanted to make videos, and that's something I started doing. And I managed to do it a little bit, and then I stopped completely. And there was always that feeling of, what will people think. And it just builds and builds on each thing. What do people think about my music, what do people think about my videos, what do people think about this, what do people think about that. And it just like blocks you from doing so much also. And I may not seem the type, but I'm a very like, I have very low self-confidence and stuff. So all that has also been part of it, and that was part, this video has been part of that, just trying to just like get it all out there. And in some ways it is a cop out also, because there's so many people who are close to me that I've cut off. And I haven't had the strength to say this to them one on one, face to face and all. But more than that, as somebody who wants to be a creator, who wants to create content, wants to make video content, to be able to be authentic and not hide behind like a facade. Because even when even during the lockdown, I made a couple of videos. I started doing these football videos, and it's something that I love and I'm interested in. But the reality was that I was making a 20-minute video, and I knew I had to put it out on a certain day, and I'd still procrastinate the whole week till the last minute and record it. Because it was just like, you know, I want to do this, but I'm not feeling that, enthusiasm to do it. And beyond a point, how can you operate like that if everything you want to do creatively? So, like, the reality of the situation is that that's where I'm at right now. The other good thing is I got a cryptocurrency, which has been one thing that I've been able to keep my mind on in the last couple of months. And yeah, it's not like I've been super successful at it or anything, but yeah, that's been another thing that has just sort of kept me afloat. But more than anything, I just wanted to put this out there. um I'm not doing this as some sort of motivational video or saying, if you're feeling this, then this is what you should do and learn from my mistakes and all. But all I will say is that, like, if you're struggling and you have people around you and you have it in you to reach out, do that, because I didn't. And get help, like, no problem is too small. Don't just like avoid something you're feeling because you you don't give it that much importance at the time. I'm no one to be really giving advice, but yeah, that's kind of, I think I managed to cover most of it. I wanted to do this like unscripted. I'm sure as soon as I'm done with this video, I'll remember a bunch of things that I wanted to say and I should have said. And there are a couple of things that have been like really weighing on me that I'm still not ready to talk about. But, I want to just sit in front of the camera and put this out there as some to all the people who care about me and, have been there for me, but also for anyone who just sees this. And because content is something I want to do and I want it to be as authentic as it can possibly be. So yeah, this has sort of been my struggle with depression, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. And I'm take it day by day. I'm nowhere close to the finish line. I'm probably much closer to the starting line than the finish line. But yeah, even though right now I'm in a situation where I have no clue what I'm gonna do, I don't know professionally where I am. I don't know creatively where I am. You know, I just wanna be able to accept that reality instead of hiding from it like I had for so long. And so, if you made it to the end of this long rant and ramble, then thank you for listening. And something I forgot to do right at the beginning was just say thank you to God for sort of like protecting me and keeping me like sane and just surrounding me with people even when it felt like I had no one. So